This is the UGEE UT3 Trio Pad. This is an Android tablet by the company UGEE, and this thing is really cool. Like, I received this thing, and the first thing on the front of the box is the fact that there are 3 different modes on this tablet. There is a regular mode, a color paper mode, which kind of looks like a comic book from this screenshot here, and then you have an ink paper mode, which reminds me of, sort of an e-reader type of thing. On the back, we've got a U key for color mode switching. It boasts a 14.25-inch large display, which is really nice. I do like the fact that it is a slightly larger display than what I'm used to. Active capacitive stylus, 8-core CPU, powered by Android 14, an anti-glare screen, which is very helpful. This pack actually came with a smart folio, which I will show in a little bit. And it's got 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage from what I can read here. All right, so this is what the tablet looks like from the front. You're gonna see that there's going to be some fingerprint smudges because I have been using this thing for a little bit now, and I'm really enjoying it, first of all. So let's take a look at the back here. We've got UGEE, we've got all the serial information down here. We've got this really big camera thing in the back, which looks really cool. I will admit, sometimes I do like to grab my tablet from the top, thus the top of the hand tends to brush against the camera. But then again, I'm also not somebody who uses a tablet specifically for the camera, so if that is something that you are not going to be used to, just keep that in mind. So this is what the folio case looks like. It looks like your typical folio. This is what the pen looks like. We'll get to that in a second. The folio comes like this. It's got a typical triangle stand mode. You've got 3 or so different viewing angles and a big cutout for the camera. So installing the folio is relatively simple. Just snaps into the corners, and there you go. Folds up really nicely, and it looks really clean like this just on its own. I really like the way that this looks, the way that this feels. Granted, a couple of things to note is that this top hinge is not necessarily a strong magnet, so it can easily flip open with just a simple touch. So keep that in mind, but I do really enjoy this, and of course I hold it like this by this edge, so I don't really need to worry about the top flopping open. So this is the UGEE pen. It's got a little USB-C port right here on the side. You've got a little button here that you can click. You guys can hear that. There is a little bit of a clicking sound when you press it. There's a little light that comes on, and the light does indicate whether the pen is fully charged or not. You've got the little pen tip here, as well as in the box, it came with a little plastic baggie with 2 spare nibs and a little nib extractor. So if you've ever used one of these before, these basically clamp onto the edge of the pen nib and you just pull it out. The pack also came with this drawing glove, which I really do appreciate. So opening up the tablet like this, you could have it in sort of a standing mode with multiple angles, and the pen actually magnetizes to the bottom of the folio case. Now, similar to the cover, this magnet is not necessarily the strongest. I could take a pinky finger and let the thing fall pretty easily, but the way that this folio is designed is that it is within the hinge of the actual folio. The pen stores there, so there's really no way for it to fall out. They have these little bumper things inside the case, which allows the pen to sort of stay in place, which again, really appreciate it. This folio was pretty well thought out as well. Overall, the thing is not too heavy. I expected this to be heavier with the case, but it doesn't feel that heavy to me. And this may just be me using this only in this test period, but I just really think that this is a decent heft to the tablet. Now, this tablet does have face unlock, but you can also use a password with it. And I already preloaded Clip Studio Paint onto this tablet, which is my drawing application of choice. The tablet comes preloaded with a bunch of different wallpapers as well as some applications. So 2 of the applications that came pre-installed is Ibis Paint and Medibang. Now, I have used these 2 applications in the past, but they are not my main application. Like I said, I use Clip Studio Paint, and so that is what I'm going to be using for testing purposes. This is what the drawing pen looks like. It feels like there is a little bit of additional fabric sewn into this bottom half, which actually is very, very helpful, because what I've found with a lot of other drawing gloves is just the fact that some of them are too thin to be able to use on tablets, because I feel like it still registers like palm sensitivity or touch and things like that, and so the canvas may move around, things like that. And so having a little bit of extra fabric sewn in here to block out some of the sensors is really appreciated. And also just wearing it, it feels really, really comfortable. So we're going to change the angle because I am a left-handed artist, and we will get to the drawing experience. So for the purposes of this video, a lot, if not all, of my explanations and walkthrough will be from the perspective of using Clip Studio Paint on the UT3. However, I will be trying out some of the other pre-installed applications, just because I know that not everybody uses Clip Studio and people may want to see what the performance is like on different softwares. Make sure that your tablet and your pen are fully charged, and to activate it, all you do is press the little button here to turn it on, and we can get started. So right off the bat, I'm just using a pencil brush that I got from the Clip Studio Asset Store, and I'm just gonna draw a line. And this is with no stabilization on. This is with me just drawing at what would be my normal speed. Now you may notice that there was a little bit of lag there, and that may be because I was drawing a little bit too fast, but you know, performance may vary. So let's try this. You notice that I've got some stuff set up like shortcuts. So we've got double tap to undo. You've got options to all the buttons here. You got 2-finger pinch to rotate. You can see that the drawing glove does not allow for the actual thing to move, which is great. So let's just do a little bit of a sketch here. Let's draw the mascot for my YouTube channel. So this is going to be the little brain character that is at the head of my main character. So this is a little brain in a jar, which is known as an icon. These are little identifiers for my original anime characters from my show, Welcome to the Mind Palace. And a lot of them have different icons. So one is a flower, one is a magnifying glass, and our main character has a little brain in a jar, which I've had his design for years on end. His name is Brian. So Brian the Brain. It's a pretty standard looking thing. Let's add some anime keyframe line art shading there. Now, I'm just rushing this because I really want to get to some of the other features of the tablet, but we're just really, really quickly doing this. Let's actually use a paint bucket tool just to see what the difference is. So let's use that. Paint bucket tool works. Let's add some shading to the top. Just a little highlight there. Again, paint bucket. So yeah, pretty intuitive just from the start. So I was able to just pick up the pen, immediately start drawing, and absolutely nothing wrong there. Now, I have made an entire YouTube video already talking about the different way that I set up my Clip Studio layout, from having my layers on a separate thing here, my auto actions, settings, as well as the sidebar here for shortcuts. You want to check the video that is in the card right now if you want to see my full breakdown of that. So I'm opening up a template file for my Google Drive, and you can see the way that the keyboard is laid out. It's got really, really big buttons here in landscape mode, and if I just type here, pretty responsive. It allows me to save things into the internal storage, which is great. And I can, once again, just go in and get started. So let's do a title here. We're just going to say test project. Now you can kind of hear when I'm actually drawing on here. Pretty smooth experience while drawing. The texture of the screen is pretty smooth. It doesn't feel like a matte screen to me, but then again, I could be wrong. Writing on Clip Studio does feel really nice. Using the pens feel really nice. Let's actually use a different brush here just to see what this feels like. Yeah, pretty smooth, pretty nice. You've got pen pressure here, so you can see like from light to hard to like medium. So pen pressure really seems to be working really well, and I don't even really need to press that hard to actually use it. Like, it's really, really nice here. You can see that I've got this little pen icon on the side, and it allows for some extra things like magnifying window, e-signature, area screen recorder. You can customize it with these settings here. You've got your typical swipe down menu here for things like the flashlight, auto rotate, do not disturb, brightness. So this is what the max brightness looks like on the actual screen. So let's go back here. So this is what full brightness looks like. I don't know if it can pick up on the camera, but it is relatively bright to my eyes. So I do tend to keep it at roughly 50%. Now, the battery life on this thing is surprisingly good, but again, this could be just because I've only used this a short amount of time, but I've used this extensively and it really only dropped to like 95 or 90%. And I do keep this charged very often, so that is a really good plus. I'm just gonna draw like a quick test of one of my characters. Now, do I need to use this PNG background for an anime template? No, this is just a personal preference of mine. It is just something that I use on pretty much all of my animation projects for my original indie anime series. Again, this is not going to be like a fully fleshed out drawing. This is just going to be something to test the capabilities of the tablet. So notice that this is going to be without much pen stabilization, so all the lines are going to look a bit wonky. So I'm actually going to change the pen settings so that it is my preferred brush stabilization. That way I can actually use this properly and give you a fair assessment. And I'm going to just up the stabilization to roughly where I normally have it. So that might be a bit too much at 34. I usually have like 100% stabilization for things like final line art, but in this case, we're just going to bump it up to say 14. And let's see how that goes. Okay, a little bit better. It lags a little bit, but that is perfectly fine. I am used to the lag. A lot of people in my community really hate the lag, so I'm just gonna have to deal with that. So let's try to do this again. See, that feels better to me. That way I can actually have like a smooth foundation for this. So one thing you may have noticed is sometimes I accidentally undo something and I try to do the typical 3-finger redo. That might just be a mistake on my end or something that I'm not doing properly, because in the preferences, 3-finger tap is set to redo, but for some reason it just is not working for me at this time. This might just be the model that I'm using, but I want to give a fair comparison. So this is just something that I am pretty much used to because I do like to use the undo and redo buttons a lot. Sometimes I do have like a remote control or something like the toolbox in order for me to be able to use things like hotkeys and shortcuts. But for this purposes, I think this is perfectly fine. So I'm just setting this up similar to how I normally would an anime shot. Now I've got these colors pinned to the top, and this is just the way that the workspace in Clip Studio works, but I just find it very convenient to have colors that I normally use and tools that I normally use pinned to the top, which would allow me to very easily get to the things that I need. That feels really satisfying to do. Like, I don't know if it's picking up in the camera or the microphones, but that just feels nice. Like I said, we're not going for perfection here. We are just going for just the typical anime markings there. Yeah, and see, so even just from like a little bit of testing and playing around with, I was able to very, very easily create just a drawing, a sketch, something really quickly. And granted, I did set up my workspace exactly the way I wanted it, so I know exactly where to reach, where to find things. And I feel like this is something that you really need to do when testing out a tablet. Some people, they get a tablet and they're like, oh, I don't really like this because it feels wrong, or I don't know where everything is, or I don't know what I'm doing. So the way to get around that is to literally just set up everything the way that you are used to. So we're going to use Ibis Paint, which is something that I have not actually used in a while. It needs to update. Look at that. Oh, this is another thing. I need to figure out how to turn this off, but the device automatically every 20 minutes it goes into this sort of break mode. I find this very fascinating because it's not something I thought that I would need, but being able to take a break every 20 minutes and not have to set a timer is very, very interesting. It's very jarring if I'm in the middle of something, but because it was automatically set when I first turned this on, I was pleasantly surprised. Obviously, this is something that you can turn off later on in the settings, but I just want you guys to be aware that that's a feature, which is very, very interesting, to say the least. So we're going to skip the tutorials because I kind of know where everything is, but let's just do a quick pen test here. So just straight off the bat. Okay, so interesting point of note, there was no lag there. So I was drawing very, very fast. It is very, very smooth. Granted, this is not a review of IBIS Paint, but this is indicative of how the pen and the brush and everything performs on different softwares, which again is something that people need to consider when wanting to purchase a tablet like this. So let's take a look at the different pen stuff, and we're just gonna go in and just see how things go. So we're going to do a really quick test here. Just like a, well, that's pretty nice. Let's do a quick signature test. So let's do, look at that. It is pretty good. It's actually really, really good. So we're gonna do a similar test here. We're going to just see if I can draw my character, Brian. And granted, I am not as used to using IBIS Paint or any of these other softwares, but again, purely based off of experience, this is really, really fun to use as well. So once again, we've got our character here. Yeah, this is pretty good. If anything, IBIS Paint seems to run faster on this tablet than Clip Studio, which is pretty fascinating to me. I've only really been using Clip Studio for testing purposes, but just in the case of this, like, I really, really enjoy using this. And again, the fact that I can take this on the go, just fold up the folio case, put it in my backpack, and just go with it, this is really, really nice. Of course, drawing is not the only thing that you can do with this tablet. You've got a whole bunch of different things. So by default, you've got all the typical Google softwares. You got Gmail, calendar, things like that. Obviously, you can sign into it with your own account, but that's totally up to you. We've got the file management system, and this is what I've been using for Clip Studio Paint. So there is an inbuilt Clip Studio folder that I can use in order to go through and store Clip Studio files. And again, we've got an internal storage. Anything in here that you download or upload just is stored on the actual tablet itself. You've got this multitasking mode, and so it's got the ability to just clear all as well as individually swipe and close folders, which again is really, really appreciated. If you swipe up from the bottom, you've got all the different softwares that are installed, and you can obviously install more. Just playing a video straight off of the YouTube app, even just on the tablet itself, like this is a 4K OLED test video. And if I go to advanced, if I try to go up to 1440 60, like just even right here, this looks fantastic. Like it doesn't really translate that well on camera, but just looking at it, this is a 4K 60 video that is playing on this tablet. It is smooth, there is no lag. The colors, like just angling it towards myself, the colors look great. Like I'm not even joking when I say that these colors look fantastic. And actually, I don't even know why I didn't test this first. This is the first time I'm testing it in person. Like color-wise, this looks great. Like if I were to just hand this off to my cousins and have them watch like videos, they would have a really great experience because this is a huge screen size and everything looks great. Let's go to another video here. Like the screen size, everything looks really, really nice. And yeah, I feel like if you just wanted to get this tablet purely for a viewing experience, like this is portable, this is like a really good screen size, and the colors and the actual like frame rate looks great. All right, so let's go to the other application that is installed, which I believe is Medibang. Now, granted, I have not used Medibang in a long while. Like back when I was first starting digital art, this was something that I used ages and ages ago. And so I'm probably not going to be as used to using this, but granted, this is something that I could definitely see myself using if I were to just open the tablet and just try to do stuff with it. All right, so right off the bat, a little bit laggy, but the pen looks nice. So let's do the typical middle school Spywi thing of draw an eye. Actually, no, that's not middle school enough. Let's do the typical like rectangular eye here. Boom, boom. Got the little hook thing at the end. Yep, let's do that. And again, 2-finger touch. Really, really nice to use. What are the typical anime eyes have? They have the stuff like that, maybe. Okay, let's do a quick like scribble test. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Actually, for how much it was lagging earlier, like the scribble actually looks pretty good. Like honestly, that's pretty good just on its own. Like, and Like, the lag's not too noticeable, but most people aren't like drawing like this all the time. So again, probably not a fair comparison to do, but do I have a redo button? Yes, I do. Again, the 3-point touch doesn't seem to be working as much for me, but again, usage may vary. Overall, just purely based off of that, I feel like this is already a really, really good experience, especially for having only used this tablet for a short period of time. Now, granted, my feelings about this may change as we continue onwards with using the tablet, but in terms of somebody who like is constantly on the go and constantly in different spaces like coffee shops or at a desk or at a couch, like I brought this to my grandparents' house and I was sitting on the couch and drawing on this, and it just felt so natural to use. And I really, really enjoyed the aspect of just being able to take this thing and like just pack it up and be able to use it just on the go. You know, take the tablet pen, stick it there, and there you go. Yeah, I just really enjoyed using this thing. So one of the last things I want to go over is the thing that I mentioned at the start of this video, which is the 3 different modes. So right now, I am in the nature color mode, which is the original colors version. So there's 2 more modes. You have light color mode and ink paper mode. And that's actually the one I'm most interested in. But if we go into light color mode, you might be able to see the change happening right now. You can see that immediately everything went to this sort of whitish color, and just immediately all the colors became a little bit more desaturated, which I think is really, really cool. Let's actually take a look at what YouTube looks like. Just from looking at it at this angle, like the colors look a little bit more desaturated. It does feel more like a comic book of sorts. I don't have any comics to show you, but that's just one thing there. So, and then we go to the final mode, which is the ink paper mode. So you can see the screen sort of fade out a little bit more. And so now we are in this sort of e-ink mode. And if I go to like a Chrome page, you can see as I'm scrolling through the Clip Studio Asset Store that everything is in sort of a black and white mode here, which again, is really, really cool if you're going to be using this as an e-reader, because then that means that you don't have to worry about all the colors and things and focus solely on the words on the page. And I find that really, really cool as a concept for this tablet, because not only does that allow us to have like different modes already built in for like people who don't like the super bright colors. Maybe they want to use this as purely an e-reader. That's something that you can do just inbuilt with this tablet. And again, props to you guys at UGEE for setting up this, because I feel like this is something that really sets this tablet apart. Also, I just really love the way that the colors kind of just like transition that way with this little ink splash going up. Okay, so final thoughts on this tablet, at least as of right now. And granted, this is coming from somebody who typically does not use Android tablets, but this is a good product. Like, honestly, just given how well made it is, how well thought out the folio case is, the way that everything is set up, the pen feels nice. There's a lot to love about the way that the pen works. It fits well in the hand. It feels like a pencil, and I'm just able to use it and pick it up and just draw with it. Because I think that's one of the biggest things that I love about this tablet is the fact that after setup, I just picked it up and used it, and I was able to just sit down and draw with it. This was just set up, pick up and go, and I really love that. And again, there's a lot to say about like the size of it, the screen real estate, and there's even some stuff that I haven't even tested on this tablet, like the camera. I don't know what the camera quality is like. I don't know what it's like to use long term. I don't know how the battery performance is going to be after like months and months of using it, but I just want to give you guys a really, really up close and personal first impressions of this tablet. And I really, really hope that you guys consider looking into this UGEE UT3. So what are my thoughts on this tablet after using it for a short amount of time? Overall, I really enjoyed using this. This was a fun experience. I really love the way that the tablet works. I love the performance of it. The pen is nice. There are little quirks here and there that I probably just need to do some additional troubleshooting in order to get this thing working to the fullest potential. But purely just based off of first impressions, purely based off of first usage, this is something that I can see myself using long term. This is something that I feel like I could just fold up into the folio case, stick it into my backpack, and just take it to a coffee shop, or take it on a train or a plane, or somewhere that I can just sit and draw for a long period of time. The battery life so far is really, really good. I have not really had to charge the pen that much after the first initial charge. Clip Studio works on it, which again is just the biggest thing for me, is can it run Clip Studio, which is great. And especially if you are somebody who really enjoys using Android or likes using Android tablets, this thing is a fully functioning Android tablet. It's got the Play Store, it's got internet access, it's got Chrome, calendar, you know, the timer, the screen time application that automatically switches every 20 minutes. Yeah, overall, I can't really like say much more other than the fact that I really like this thing. It's really fun. Would I recommend it to people? Yes. Would I recommend it to friends and family? Yes. Would I recommend it this holiday season? Absolutely. So if you guys are looking for something for the holiday season, something to pick up for that artist friend in your life or that family member that wants to get into digital art, consider getting the UGEE UT3. Like I said, this is a fantastic tablet for people who maybe want to start off with digital art, maybe who want to start off with something with a bigger screen. This is something to look into. And if you guys check out the link down below, you can get 10% off the UGEE UT3 with code SPYWISE10. That's capital S, lowercase p, y, w, I, s, 10. Starting today, and there is no end date for the code, so you can kind of just use it whenever. And if you guys want to check out more from this company, they have a whole bunch of other things on their website, and they are releasing some new Christmas activities, and so I really recommend that you guys go check them out. Once again, thank you to UGEE for sending me this tablet for free. Pure transparency, they sent it to me for free, and this is my unbiased review. They did not pay me to make this review. They did not pay me to say these things. This is just what I personally feel about this tablet. And so if you guys want to see more tablets that I have reviewed in the past, if you guys want to see some of the animations that I've made on the channel in the past, check out the link you're seeing on screen right now. And once again, make sure you use code SPYWISE10 for 10% off of the UT3. And thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for visiting the Mind Palace, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.